Hey everybody, Brian Pincala here with my CRUD assignment for this week, CRUD screencast, and I'm going to jump right in and talk while I'm going here because there's a lot to go over and I don't want to make this too long of a screencast, but I was able to effectively recycle a lot of the code that we've written already. This is the login form like we did last week, confirming that I am logged in as the admin. You can see my name right here with the logout link and then view administrator listing, which I'll click on now. And you can see I've got two admins set up currently within the database, myself and Mr. Steve Jobs, and I will show that in the database here, my two users. So first of all, this is the read, which I've been able to effectively do. This was no problem since I was able to recycle the read elements from the first week. Go on to create, which is add new user, and this is just my new user form. I will create Bill Gates as my next user. Bill Gates. Password is still a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out how to salt my password within the setup of the user, but I'll attempt to try to expand on that later on. But for now, what I'm doing now will suffice for the assignment. When I click create, I get feedback down here saying that new user has been added successfully, so that's great. We'll go back to the user listing, and there he is, Bill Gates. If I bring up the database and refresh, there's Bill Gates. Again, trying to figure out the salting thing. I hope I can get that done. If I can, I'll post a separate screencast with how I did that. But for now, this, like I said, this will work. So, so you've seen read, you've seen create. Now we'll go to modify. We'll modify Bill Gates, and I decided that I wanted to change the username from Bill Gates to just B Gates, and it's actually Bill Gates at MSN. Which actually doesn't fit, so we'll just do M. I have to change the parameters on this. I will update, and user has been updated. We'll go back to the listing, and there we go. Username has been updated, email has been updated. I will change this to allow for more characters, but it works just fine, and I'll refresh it here, and you can see that everything's been updated perfectly. So we're good shape there. And then the delete was pretty simple. I've got my delete link here. Really delete Bill from the admin list. Delete, yes. User deleted successfully. I'd like to fix this too to make this a little bit better looking, but it works just fine. And then if I go back to the listing, he's gone. Bring up my database, refresh, he's gone here too. So CRUD works perfectly, every aspect of it. I'd like to improve on it a little bit and make it look a little nicer, but for the sake of the assignment, everything works as expected, and I have been able to fulfill the requirements of the assignment. So now to some code. I'll start with my new user, PHP. I tried to maintain as much of the MVC framework as I possibly could. I struggled a lot with that. I spent a lot of hours trying to force it to work, and I just couldn't for some reason or another. So I'm accessing my database within some of these documents separately, which according to the assignment was okay. So I just kind of went with it. I would have preferred to do it otherwise, but I did the best I could. As you can see here, I am on lines 20 through 25, actually 24 because 25 is irrelevant, but I'm using a real escape string for my post information to keep the sanitization in place. And then here's my SQL query down here, inserting the data into the admin table. And here is my conditional statement waiting for my button to be pressed in order to do that. So a lot of this functionality that's within this new user I was able to use in my modify .php document as well. Same kind of thing, sanitization of my information, and then here's my SQL statement and listening for the button to click. So, and you can see I'm requiring some information and from other documents, and I'm also using the view. I'm using my user view document. So I'm maintaining some of the MVC framework, just not as much of it as I would have liked to have. And then, so that's modify, that's new user. The delete was more of kind of the same thing, accessing the database within this document, passing my, that's the other thing this took me a little while to wrap my head around, was passing my unique ID around a little bit, but I was able to make it work and scrubbing it for cleanliness, so to speak. And then here's my delete from admin table upon the click of my button. So that's that. We got my delete user view, passing information around, specifically the unique ID and first name for this, so I can call it out within the form. And then here's my button that I'm using to delete. And then I've recycled this within a lot of my views was input type hidden, and this is where I'm storing the unique ID. So it's always in all my forms and in all the views, but the user can't see it, which is good for security as well as it's just sound design from back-end development standpoint, I guess, for not allowing your users access to the unique ID, or the primary key, I should say. Modify user view, more of the same kind of thing, grabbing the information out of the array and then placing it into the form. So I had it separate, and then I decided that I wanted to actually place the information in the form to start with, and then again passing the unique ID back and forth a little bit. So overall, I really enjoyed the assignment. I found it to be pretty challenging, but very rewarding. I learned a lot from this, and I'm hoping to expand on it. And again, if I can figure out how to salt my passwords while I'm adding new users, I will post another screencast for that. But yeah, I've been able to successfully implement CRUD across the board. Thanks.